Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings, and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wilding in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gonna be our year. We're here drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring. Yeah.
To another Royal Rebounds Podcast live with Calvin and Barry. Welcome to the new Royal Rebounds studio. Calvin and I are happy to bring you guys here. Unfortunately, we can't celebrate a win tonight. Kings lose 123-105. They're currently on a 3-game losing streak, and they have lost 7 out of the last 8 games. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below to join the Royal family with Calvin and I. And if you are a Kings fan, make sure you hit that like button as well. There is also a notification cowbell down below if you'd like to get notified when Calvin and I put out a new video. Well, Calvin, rough loss tonight. The Kings seemed to be in most of this game, and then they completely fell apart in the fourth quarter. We saw fans getting sick on the sidelines watching this team play. What are your first thoughts on the game?
My first thoughts on the game are, one, Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell are phenomenal basketball players. My other thoughts on this game, it's just so frustrating because I actually saw the Kings play really well for good portions of this game. Everybody's going to point to the fourth quarter and the big run that goes on. But there was also a big run in the second quarter, 15-4 or something like that. So the Kings had multiple lapses in this game where they let it get out of hand. They were able to claw their way back once. They weren't able to do it the second time. Yep. So, and it's just very frustrating because a lot of guys really played well. Richaun Holmes finally came back and played a really good game. I'm going to talk about De'Aaron Fox later. I think people are going to continue to pile on him after this game, but I really loved what I saw from him, so we'll get into that later. But it's just very frustrating.
Yeah, what up, Tanvir? Shout out, buddy. I hope you're having fun in Vegas. Sometimes the beers help with the sorrows. I don't know if I'd call truly a beer, though. I don't know about that. Makami, shout out. Glad you are here. Gregory, welcome, welcome. Lane, what's up, buddy? I know another L. It is a tough loss for the Kings. You know, there's so many different things that we could talk about that led to the Kings losing this game. They got out-rebounded. They didn't shoot well. You know, they got out-bullied in this game. Utah was much more physical. We saw this game get pretty physical late in the game, including some rough play. I saw Richaun Holmes get
bunch of
hit
fouls
in the face by Rudy Gobert, and no foul was called, and that was pretty blatant.
Yep.
But, Calvin, you want to dive here into the box score?
Sure, let's do it. Richaun Holmes leads the way in points tonight with 22. He added 7 rebounds and a block, 9 of 10 from the field and 4 of 5 at the line. 18 points for Harrison Barnes, who I thought was much more aggressive tonight. Still didn't really take a ton of threes, 1 of 3 from distance, added 8 rebounds. But I liked his aggressiveness. He was getting to the basket early and often today, got to the free throw line as well, even though he missed a few more than he usually does. Tyrese Haliburton, 17 points, and De'Aaron Fox, 13. Buddy Hield with 16 off the bench.
Yeah. It's, you look at the starting lineup here, 30 minutes almost for everybody, a lot more than last night when they got blown out early. Everyone got benched. But it's interesting, you and I have been talking about wanting to start Metu. Metu was on the bench towards the end of the game, and I remember Katie's like, there goes Luke clearing the bench, bringing in all the bench players, and Metu comes out onto the court. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, if you have the confidence to start this guy, why is he coming in a blowout at the end of the game?
See, I think it's actually because he has the confidence in him to start. I viewed that as he had played not very well. He shot really poorly in this game. I looked at it as, let's give him an opportunity to be like our go-to guy right now on the court to try to gain a little confidence going into their next game. And he did hit 1-3 in that short little time. So maybe we'll see if that helps. I want Chimezie Metu to be good so bad. Like, I love what I see from him out there.
Yep.
He just is struggling to shoot the ball very, very much so right now. He can affect the game, though, in other ways, and we saw that tonight. I really liked the lineup they had. Didn't play very long, but it was, I think, Davion, Tyrese, Mo Harkless, Metu, and Holmes. I want to say it was something like that in the second quarter. The potential of that lineup is pretty intriguing to me. They can all switch. I think Katie Christensen commented on that. They can switch 1 through 5. They got a lot of length, really athletic guys. Mm-hmm. And all good defenders. And they did get a bunch of turnovers in that short time that they were on the court. So it was an interesting lineup to watch. But, man, I just wish Metu would get on a hot streak and hit a bunch of threes,
Right, that would be nice. He definitely brings it. He definitely brings the energy every night. He definitely does that. So looking at the team stats on the night here, 45% for the Kings from field goal range, 32% from three-point range. Pretty standard in a loss for them.
Yeah.
They got outshot in this game. They got outboarded in this game, 52-35.
Yep.
Everything else was pretty decent. The Kings only had 8 total turnovers in this game, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
8 turnovers. That's something that you and I had been talking about all season, and they just fell apart in this fourth quarter.
They did.
You talked about runs. In my notes here, I wrote down second quarter, Jazz go on a 15-4 run. Fourth quarter, they go on a 10-0 run. Then there's that puke delay. Turns into a 19-5 run.
Yeah.
That's too many runs.
Yeah, it is. There's just no way you're going to come back from all of that. You can do maybe 1, maybe 2.
Yep.
But there's no way you can do all of that.
And it seems to be a pattern that I'm seeing in these losses is the Kings are getting into these just times where they can't score and they can't play defense at the same time. So they're giving up these huge runs, and that is really what's taking them out of this game. To think that they were only down 4 points at the start of the fourth quarter, I mean, it sounds good, but they still allowed that 15-4 run. The Kings were not playing exceptionally well. They were pretty much down this entire game.
Yep.
And fourth quarter just fell apart to a really good Jazz team.
Yeah, but it's also so frustrating because you saw them play really, really well for a good portion of this game as well. They just had that fight and tenacity defensively. They were really moving around. And, second game of a back-to-back, maybe they got a little gassed at the end there. That is in no way an excuse, but it's possible that's what happens, especially after that long delay. You stand around for a long time. You've been playing really, really hard, second night back-to-back. So maybe that affected it a little bit. But, yeah, they just have to find a way to bring that same energy and intensity for the whole game. Because even they're going to go through periods where they miss shots. Yep. Especially if they shoot as many threes as they do. You have to find a way to be able to withstand that.
You really do. Speaking of that delay, I don't know if you guys were paying much attention, but Calvin and I, we rewound and we went back and we played it in slow motion. There's this dude sitting there courtside with puke all over his lap and the floor. Yeah. It was disgusting. I've never, ever seen that before, ever. That courtside?
I certainly can't think of many times where I've seen it. Yeah, it was pretty – guy had a tough time. He was having a lot of fun probably before that. But
I mean, I don't want to – I don't know the guy. I don't know the situation.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know why, but it doesn't look too good.
No, it does not.
And it sucks to spend that much money on courtside seats and not even be able to finish the game. Yeah. But I think that was –
dinner.
Yeah. Yeah, he probably spent $100 on freaking food at the arena and puked it all up. But I was sitting here watching that, and I was thinking, wow, the Jazz just went on a 10-0 run before this stoppage. Maybe this is a good thing for the Kings. But then the stoppage just went on and on and on and on and longer. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, this is what the Sacramento Kings season has turned into. Yeah. The fans are getting sick of watching this team lose games. Simple as that.
Oh, God. This chat is brutal right now. The Sac fans drinking themselves to death after so many L's.
Oh, man. Dennis, I hope not, man. I really hope not. Angel says, love the Kings, but I'm not going to waste my money or waste my time trying to watch the game unless I'm free. Yeah, I feel you on that, man. It is very, very tough. It is tough. Patrick says it's time to wear paper bags on our faces.
Oh, wow.
That's kind of cool. Maybe Calvin and I will do a podcast with bags on our heads. Who knows? I wear a mask anyways. It's like the same thing, right? So, Cal, how are you feeling about this team? I mean, honestly, we lost this game. They were in it, just like they were in the other two games with the Jazz.
Yep.
But they lost this game. You and I didn't expect them to win this game. I don't think many Kings fans expected them to win this game. So acting like we're all surprised now is, doesn't really mean much. However, the way they lost the game, I guess, was most disappointing for me.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta the fourth going into the fourth quarter down 4 after everything that they've already been through. It's incredibly disappointing, and I think you can see that on all the players' faces right now. I mean, I watched Rashawn Holmes walk off the court right when they got subbed out at the end there.
He was pissed.
Pissed off.
Yep.
And I feel for him because this was the first game in a while that he actually played really, really well, and he was all over the place there for most, those 3 quarters, like a lot of them were. So he's definitely frustrated. Listening to Harrison Barnes after the game, that might be the longest I've heard Harrison Barnes talk, from start to finish ever in my life. And he had a lot to say. They're all frustrated. It's definitely disappointing.
Yeah, you could see it on Deeran's face. That last layup that he made the layup, but he's like, okay, now we're down 20.
Right.
What does this mean? It's 4 minutes left. I could see it in his eyes. He's just... These Kings players, a lot of them they have to have like some form of PTSD at this point. De'Aaron Fox has been losing for 5 years. Yeah. I think he's the longest tenured player on this Kings team right now, so he's endured the most. And you could just see it in him like, oh, great, here's another loss coming. I see the losses piling up. Here we go again. 5 years is a long time.
It is, and especially if it's all in the league.
Yep.
You've never experienced anything different.
Yeah, back-to-back tonight for the Kings, but still no excuse. Every other team plays back-to-backs in the league.
And these 2 games were at home.
Something you have to do. We got to see a couple ex-Kings in this game. Hassan Whiteside and Rudy Gay. Hassan's been with the Kings twice removed. I thought he had a pretty good game tonight.
He did.
He did well rebounding. He's a big presence. I feel like Rudy Gobert, taking him out of the game, there's not a better guy to put in that does the same thing as him.
Yeah, he fits their team perfectly.
He's like a cheap Gobert.
Yeah.
Hassan Whiteside is
Absolutely.
perfect. And I remember just thinking, Whiteside and Gobert are way too big for this Kings team. Like, they're just dominating inside.
The Jazz did exactly what their formula is for winning every night. They shot really well from 3, particularly transition threes. They are so good, so effective in that. And they have so many different guys that can shoot it, and you saw that tonight. And then, the big guys played really big for them as well, literally and figuratively.
That's funny. Angel says, let's wear beer cartons on our heads. I like that. That's a good idea. Maybe we could write it off as a tax, like tax write-off. We need to drink the beer so we could use the box for the show.
Sounds like we got some work to do, I guess.
So let's jump here into Cal's keys of the game. I know we talked about this last night. You listed 3 keys for me. You said for the Kings to come out victorious over the Jazz tonight, They need to rebound well.
Mm-hmm.
They need to defend the three, and they need to stay out of foul trouble.
Yes.
They nailed one of those tonight.
They did. They got 1 for 3. But 33% in the 3 keys is not as good as a 33% three-point shooter. Yeah, they got crushed on the boards, 52-35, gave up 14 offensive rebounds. And the Jazz shot 43, almost 44% from 3, 17 of 39. There were a handful of threes that were well contested in the first half. But in those runs, as I mentioned before, transition threes, Kings turn it over a couple of times. They fire it up the court as quick as possible, and somebody gets a good look from 3, and they hit most of them.
Yep.
And there wasn't really anybody that was missing. Jordan Clarkson was hitting. Joe Ingles was hitting. Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, Royce O'Neal is hitting threes. If that's what happens, that's going to be a tough uphill battle.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the Kings were actually in these 3 games this year against the Jazz, because you look at a team like the Jazz, like they match up perfectly against this Kings team. Kings play small. They have problems rebounding. The Jazz are a great rebounding team. They're good at shooting the 3. The Kings are not that great at defending the 3. And I know Luke Walton mentioned it in a press conference a couple days ago that it's not so much the turnovers that are the problem. It's the live ball turnovers that lead to these transition buckets. And, the Kings look pretty lost out there in transition defense.
Yeah.
You're who do I guard? This guy's got the ball. He's coming to the basket. I try and guard him, but I'm by myself. You got a guy that's open in the corner. I think Harrison Barnes touched on it as well in his post-game press conference, where it's like, this guy's a 25% shooter. Like, leave him open. Don't leave the good three-point shooter open so that you could guard a guy that's not a three-point shooter. And the Kings just look so confused.
Yes. Yeah, the only problem with that argument tonight is that the Jazz don't really have any 25% three-point shooters. But
other than Gobert,
who I don't think attempted one tonight. But he's right. They have to be smarter. It goes both ways a little bit. They have to cut down on those stupid turnover mistakes offensively so they don't put themselves in those terrible transition positions defensively. But, yeah, they also have to find a way to snap out of it. You could totally see – after a couple of those turnovers and the Jazz come down and hit threes immediately, it just totally broke their spirit almost. You just didn't see the intensity that they were playing with defensively the few possessions before that.
And they're timely turnovers too. You know, like if you don't turn the ball over much the whole game, but you're down 4 still going to the third quarter, and you turn the ball over a bunch in the fourth quarter, and it leads to fast break points. It's timing is very, very important.
Yeah,
very important.
And the offensive execution too. It just needs to be better. The Kings got a lot of really good shots tonight, and they just missed them. Those are. It's nothing they could have done better necessarily. They set themselves up perfectly, got a good look. You just have to start converting at some point.
That you do. I want to welcome everybody that's just joining in right now. Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV. This is the Royal Rebounds Podcast live with Calvin and Barry. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below to join the Royal family. Make sure you hit that like button if you are a Kings fan. Calvin and I are live breaking down the Sacramento Kings loss tonight, 123-105 to the Utah Jazz. A 3-game losing streak. The Kings have won 1 game out of the last 8, and that was against the Detroit Pistons. The wheels are falling off the bus, Calvin. The check engine light is burnt out. It's not on anymore.
Oh, yeah. Smoke's coming out of the
wheels
hood.
are falling off. Did you see that block that Rashawn had in the second quarter on Gobert? That was clean.
Yeah, I don't talk about the officiating much just because – people overreact to it, and it really does have a law of averages, and it usually evens out. And I'm one of the only people that doesn't say like a game was decided by a call or anything like that. The game was not officiated well tonight. I will say that.
Nope.
And it was a really chippy physical game. Like I said, 4 technical fouls total tonight.
Yep.
So when that stuff happens, the refs tend to get a quicker whistle a little bit, but it was not officiated very well.
Yeah, and that was early. That was in the second quarter. That was so clean. I saw Rashawn Holmes afterwards saying, that was all ball, man. That was all ball. And he's looking up at the cameras like it sucks that they can't review stuff like that.
Here in the chat, the Gobert hit to the head of Rashawn Holmes.
Oh, yeah.
How in today's day and age when everyone is so hyper-focused on swings to the contact to the head and neck region, right?
That other one got reviewed.
Call.
That block that Rashawn had where he comes over Jordan Clarkson and then comes down over and they go and review that play. Right. Like, for me, that was one of the easiest calls in the entire game. He hit the ball. He came through. There was no wind up. There wasn't anything like that. So it was unfortunate. I saw Donovan Mitchell get into it with like a cameraman, like hits the ball or something. That was strange too.
They did call a technical right there, but that
was on coach.
I know. I'm saying that's either a delay of game or a technical foul, one of the two.
Yeah, it was unfortunate game. And what did Harrison Barnes say in his press conference after the game? He said physicality.
Right.
Physicality. He said, when we got home, we talked about we need to play more physical. We're losing the physicality game. We're getting pushed off our spots. He's like, first possession of this game, we get pushed off our spots and we can't score. And he said he knew it right there that the vibe of this game was not well for the Kings.
Definitely. That's exactly what happened.
It's very
easy layups. Easy layups. Wide open threes. That's what the whole fourth quarter was.
Man, Lee says he doesn't look right. He must have got something going on at home. Maybe a girlfriend issue? Oh, he's talking about Fox.
I think maybe, yeah.
I mean, Calvin,
they are married.
You liked what you saw to him tonight.
So, yeah, I mean, I know that everybody is going to be tough on him tonight because he didn't shoot well again, just like he hasn't done all year. But when I was watching De'Aaron play tonight, I saw again what his true potential is. Mm-hmm. He was so good for 3.5 quarters defensively. So good. And yes, he was missing shots, but again, he took pretty good shots for the most part. He was looking to get to the rim. This guy, his ceiling is higher than Tyrese Haliburton's ceiling. And it's probably higher than Davion Mitchell's also. Like, this guy at his true full potential is such an incredible player. Really, really a dynamic player. So I know he's had a rough start to this season, but he's so young. I'm off the trade De'Aaron Fox bandwagon. Yeah, I don't know if I was ever officially on it, but
Angel's got a good question here.
This guy has the ability to be so good. I would let him play through it.
Angel's got a good question here. He said, do the Kings need a stretch 5 so Fox can go to the whole one-on-one?
No, I don't think so, because even though Rashawn Holmes is not a stretch 5, they still pull him out from the basket so much because they like to run him in pick and rolls and they like to get him right at the free throw line for that push shot. So as long as they have a stretch 4 out there, because then the rest of the floor is open when you bring Rashawn out. I don't think they need a stretch 5 necessarily.
I'd be interested to see how that would work out. I'm interested. Maybe you bring a stretch 5 off the bench. I mean, we saw Alex Len hit a 3 tonight. He came in pretty early in this game.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think I've seen Fox and Len play too much together to really get an idea of what that would be. But, I mean, Rashawn Holmes played wonderful tonight. 9 of 10 from the field, 4 or 5 from the free throw line, 22 points for him. I know he got out-rebounded by Gobert. But this is the first game where you've actually seen, like, Haliburton, decent night, 17 points. Holmes, 22 points. And like you said, Fox played a decent game as well. 5 of 17 shooting. I want to see better than that.
Yeah, you do.
But it seems like a lot of these guys on the starting lineup, they all have their little specialties. If Fox can focus on defense while Tyrese and Rashawn are running that pick and roll game, and then when it's Fox's time to shine, like in the fourth quarter, he can step it up and do that. If he has enough left in the tank to do that, I see a way for all 3 or 4 or 5 of these guys to really survive and thrive in this starting lineup.
Yeah, I agree. De'Aaron's just got to hit shots, not even threes. He's just got to hit shots. He was short on a lot tonight. And, I know I've heard that whether it's his personal trainer or shooting coach, they really work on keeping his left elbow in tight and his follow through. And you can totally see when he doesn't follow through out there. His shot looks a lot different, and it is usually short. So he's so close, man. He really is a special talent, and I really, at this point, I'm very confident with. I want to just see him play through this rough patch. He was so good last year. I think he's going to continue to get better over time. I really do.
So what do you think needs to change on this team?
Well, I mean, I'm open to trading other guys, Buddy Hield, perhaps. Obviously, Marvin Bagley. I don't know if that's even
Marvin
doable,
didn't play tonight.
He didn't play tonight. I think they could use some wing depth. I thought Mo Harkless gave them good minutes tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So, when he can play like that, he can be a good guy to come off the bench, for Metu. I think that really strengthens the 4 spot. It's not ideal. I would still like them to have a better option there if that's attainable through a trade or something like that.
Richard says, get rid of Vivek.
I mean, maybe that's the problem. Maybe that'll work. I still think firing.
I don't understand
Luke
why
Walton
that's
is
his
the first
problem.
move.
I mean, I don't understand why them losing these games is his issue.
Well, he's the one that hires, the top of the organization. So everything starts at the top and has a trickle-down effect. But I don't buy it being really his fault.
I mean, everyone, they say, oh, we've had all these problems since he's been owner. Yes, that's true. We haven't made the playoffs since he's owned the team. That is very, very true. But the problems didn't start with him. We had the Maloofs before that. The Maloofs were garbage, man. Like, I know we had some good seasons with them, but once they got in debt and they had issues, they couldn't pay players. They wanted to cut salary and all that stuff. Like, it's not Ronadive's fault, in my opinion. I think that there were some instances where he meddled when they were drafting players. I remember there was an instance where who'd they take from Michigan? Stauskas. I saw a video. They're in the draft room, and he's just like, Stauskas. They took Stauskas because that's who he wanted. I feel like he's learned his lesson at this point, and he's kind of – I hired Monty. And personally, if I was a guy like Monty, who I think has a great resume, could get a lot of jobs in the NBA, you're going in saying, this is my team, and I'm the decision maker. It's either my way or the highway. And yes, there are some owner-level decisions. And let's get this right. Like, Vivek is not the owner. He is the managing partner for the ownership group. Yeah. He is not the sole owner of this team. But I don't think it's his fault now. I really don't. I think he's done well. His daughter is hella fine. Oh, that's funny. True. But yeah, I honestly think that this is a coaching issue. This is a player issue. I don't see this as a front office or an ownership issue at this point.
No, I agree with that.
Please answer. Why does it seem like the Kings try to lose in the second half?
That's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. But we've seen them come out slow in the first quarter too, so it's not just the second half necessarily. They've probably had more bad second halves than first halves. But they like to do both.
Jonathan says, Buddy's IQ is bringing this team down.
Yeah, maybe.
So there's different types of players.
Yeah.
There's different types of players, and you expect or you need different things from different types of players. Buddy Hield is a specialist. I know he's not paid like a specialist. He's paid better than a specialist. Mm-hmm. But the way I look at it is like football. I know basketball is a lot harder because you only have 5 guys, and those guys have to play offense and defense, and they all have to play together. Versus in football, your guys are much more specialized. This guy's good at blocking. He's on my line, or he's a tight end, right? Versus in basketball, you need to be able to do everything. So it's harder to hide these guys with specialists. But it's glaring effects in football. So you have a guy that can't catch the ball. Why would you put him as a wide receiver, right? Mm-hmm. He's not. He's going to play another position. Buddy Hield is good.
Back if he can't
yeah. Buddy Hield is good at shooting the 3 ball. He needs to be put in a position where he can thrive and just do that. They don't need to ask too much of him, because when they do, that's when he makes these mistakes. He has these mental lapses. He has these, like you say, IQ driving the team down. The only reason that is because I feel like Buddy Hield is put in a position to fail.
Well, I don't know if he's put in a position to fail necessarily. I mean, anytime your coach tells you that they love it when you take 17 threes in a game, that to me isn't a guy being put in a position to fail.
Yeah.
And I personally, I liked how when he got in there tonight, right from the get-go, he went to the basket. He got 2-point field goal attempts as opposed to 3-point field goal attempts. And I think if he could do that a little bit more, look to try to get himself the easiest possible shot he can get right from the beginning, get a little bit of momentum, then I'm okay with him taking 4 or 5 threes in a row, something like that, trying to get himself in rhythm. 17 threes to me is too much. I wouldn't like to see him do that. But if he could be 10 to 12, which sounds ridiculous to say that that's like a smaller amount of threes per game, but I think that he would be much better that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so mixed on it because I remember watching Steph Curry earlier on in his career, and I'm not comparing Steph Curry and Buddy Hield, but I remember watching him early on in his career, and I remember seeing him shoot all these shots that I considered bad shots. But they would go in sometimes, right? And I'm like, man, if this guy, he's such a good three-point shooter, if he just took good shots, his three-point shooting percentage would be ridiculous. And then you look at a guy like Steve Kerr, and you see after the shot that he takes, Kerr's like, oh, my God. And then he makes it, and he's like, okay, I can't be mad at him because he made the shot. Buddy Hield's not in that category yet, but a lot of these shots that he takes are bad shots. I saw him take a corner three in this game. The defense was all over him, and he's trying to shoot over guys. Yes, you are really
it's the
good.
Same one I'm thinking of. He actually fumbles the pass before, and he knows the defender is right there, and he still tries to unload it.
You're a great three-point shooter. Put yourself in a better position. Get a good shot.
Yeah.
Like, you're a great three-point shooter. Shoot open threes. Don't tell me there's not a way to get open on this team. The way that he moves, the way that he runs around screens, like, it's not a lack of effort on his part. Maybe it's decision-making by him. Maybe it's coaching and game play or game calling. But he needs to shoot better shots. He needs to be more efficient. And I think that's what needs to change with him for sure. I see the poll here is pretty popular. We have 28 votes already. Should Luke Walton be fired? 64% says yes, 36% says no. Wow. I'm pretty surprised, Cal. I thought there would be a more yes.
Well, yeah, it's still still heavily favored on getting him out of there.
If you guys want Coach Walton to be fired,
of Kings fans right now, I would think.
Yeah. If you want Coach Walton to be fired, hit that like button down below. And if you want Coach Walton not to be fired, hit that like button down below. If you're a Kings fan, hit that like button down below. Come on, guys. We're here having fun. We're talking about the Kings. We're still Kings fans. I'm not giving up, guys. Like, you know, some of you, if you want to give up on this team, go for it. I know you'll be back. When they make the playoffs, you'll be back, and I will still be here. The Kings haven't made the playoffs for half my life, man. Half my life, and that's okay because they're going to make it, and it's going to be so, so sweet.
Yeah.
We're just trying to figure out how. And I think you're right. I think it's time.
It out.
I think it's time to start trading some players. You know, I talked in the last podcast how I think Walton needs to go, and maybe he needs to be the first one to go. Like, I'm definitely firing Walton before I trade De'Aaron Fox. That is 100%.
Yes,
but you know, I would consider trading Marvin Bagley right now. I would consider trading, you know, some of these other guys. But yeah, I think Luke's got to go also. How do you feel?
Yes, definitely. We've been saying it for a while now. I think it's time.
Don't blame Buddy Hield. I mean, I'm not blaming Buddy Hield. It's a team game. The team lost this game.
They did.
I'm blaming the entire team, but that doesn't mean that individual players.
Our buddy bashing is coming out.
What I'm saying is that doesn't mean that individual players don't have things that they need to improve on to help this team.
Absolutely.
And Buddy needs to improve on better shot taking.
Yeah, shot selection.
Richard says, I'm just tired of going through coaches is all. Yeah, I mean, at least you don't have to buy their jersey.
Yeah, that's true.
And I never liked Luke from the start, honestly.
Neither did I.
He's a Laker, man. He's a Laker.
I think it was a good hire. That stint in Golden State gave him a persona that I don't think he is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could probably coach that Golden State team.
Yeah.
Oh, man. The ball gets stuck way too much when opposing teams go on runs. And the team doesn't slash or move
100%.
around.
100%.
100%, man.
Very good observation.
We talked about these runs today. We had a, 15-4 run by Utah. 10-0 run by Utah, which turned into a 19-5 run by Utah and completely blew the entire game over. That 10-0 run changed the entire game to me. I know I thought Utah was going to win this game from the start. Mm-hmm. Even though the Kings were in it, I'm like, oh, well, hey, maybe they're getting my hopes up again. Maybe the Kings do have a chance. They're only down 4. 10-0 run killed them.
It did.
Ripped their heart right out. And I remember I was talking to our producer. I said, look at the Kings, man. Look at the look on their faces. You could tell. It's like 4 minutes left in the game. I'm like, it's over. They know it's over.
Yep.
And he says to me, yeah, but they're not supposed to act like that. And that's 100% correct, man. Like, it doesn't matter what the score is. You have to play hard every minute because it's possible to come back. It's not likely, but it's possible. But if you're just going to let your spirit be broken that easily, you're not going to be playing playoff basketball. You're not going to be playing play-in tournament basketball. Like, you can't be broken to win in this league.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easier said than done when you go through losing streaks like they go through. But you're right. It's 100% true. And you can hear that in Harrison Barnes' voice in his post-game press conference.
Richard says, Walton is already here. Why start new? F that.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. This isn't working. So you're just saying let's tank the rest of the season, basically. Well, obviously they try to fix it with what they have going, but Seems
he says
to me
maybe
like that's
maybe an older coach
that's
would
the
work.
result anyway.
Someone players could mentor.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it has to be an older coach. It's just got to be. It's got to be somebody that is going to inspire this team in the right way.
Yeah, it's got to be somebody that has.
Yeah, Chet Holmgren.
It's got to be
Baller.
somebody that has, I guess, a good resume. Somebody that's well respected, someone that commands attention, someone that demands respect from this team. You and I talked about it after the loss last night that, maybe Luke Walton is these guys' friends. Maybe they're too much friends. We saw all the players talking after the game saying it's not Luke's fault. It's not Luke's fault. We saw Tristan Thompson. I don't need a coach to motivate me. Well, maybe you don't, Tristan Thompson, because you've been in the league for what? Almost 10 years now. You got a championship with LeBron James. Like, Tristan Thompson is a perfect role player that can come off the bench, and he's a veteran and he has a lot of experience. But this is a young team that has a bunch of guys that aren't that. Yeah. Maybe they need a coach that they're afraid of. Maybe they need a coach that's like, hey, oh, wow, we lost 21 points tonight. I'm not getting to go home after the game. We're having another practice. We're watching film. We're staying here till 2 o'clock in the morning to figure out what the hell is going on. We're not just going to forget about this and move on. We need to learn from this and move on.
I agree 100%.
Solo wants Stauskas. What's that guy doing these days? Last time I saw he was with the Sixers, right?
I don't think he's in the league anymore. He's, my guess, playing overseas somewhere.
So the poll is officially over. 37 votes, 70%. Wow, this is weird. 70% yes, 29% no. So I guess 1%
is undecided.
That's funny. Fire Luke, get Ben Simmons now. You must be the biggest casual on earth. That's his username. That's hilarious. Somebody's trying to send a message. Oh, here we go. Christian says start Davion.
Over who?
I don't know what that's going to change. I honestly don't. I love Davion. I think he's been great. 6 points for him tonight. The Kings are losing these games in the fourth quarter, so starting a guy like Davion Mitchell I don't think is going to change much.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I'm seeing a bring back Dave chant in the chat. I think you're talking about Dave Yeager. I don't know if you guys know about Dave.
Not available.
But he's undergoing some cancer treatment right now for neck and head cancer. Shout out Dave Yeager. Thoughts to you, buddy. Hope you get well soon. I'd be open to bringing him back next year if he is available.
Yeah, I would be open to that too.
And I think if Marvin Bagley was gone from this team, he'd be open to that too.
Well, we expect that to be the case.
No Vlade. That was the last guy that he got into it with.
Yeah.
Man. I mean, talk about I told you so.
Yeah.
Right? Could you imagine having that relationship with your GM and you're just watching the guy turn into an MVP and you're just like, I told you so, man. Why didn't we take Doncic? I told you. It's just not a good place to go from there. I want to welcome everybody that's just joining us now. Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV. This is the Royal Rebounds Podcast with Calvin and Barry. We are Postgame live discussing the Kings 123-105 loss to the Utah Jazz tonight. The Kings are on a 3-game losing streak. I want to remind you all to hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button to join the Royal family with Calvin and I. We put out fresh Kings content all the time. We release a new video almost daily, sometimes multiple times a day. We go live almost after every single game. We have a TV show on Fridays called The Royal Report where we talk about the Kings. It's about 30 minutes long. We wrap up a week worth of action in about 30 minutes. It's the best way to stay informed on your Sacramento Kings, especially if you're not available to watch all the games. I'm seeing some tanks here in the chat. Cal, how do you feel about tanking?
You know, tanking is never the answer for me. It's just not, maybe it's the competitiveness in me. I don't think it's the right way to go ever. Try to fix it. I know some people consider firing the coach and bringing in an interim coach or something like that, or, you know, somebody who's a glue guy to try and fill the gap between the old coach and the long-term new head coach is considered tanking in itself because, you know, you're not expected to do anything after that. But every now and then, you know, we saw it with Nate McMillan in the Hawks last year. He takes over full-time. They go on this huge run. They eventually make the Eastern Conference Finals. Every once in a while, it ends up being a good thing for your team. It actually turns it around. And the Kings have a guy on their bench like Nate McMillan, who has a lot of head coaching experience in this league, has done this a bunch of times in Alvin Gentry. So am I saying that Alvin Gentry becomes the head coach, the Kings make the Western Conference Finals? No, that's not what I'm saying. But, you know, it just seems like a better situation than there could be a lot worse of a situation for the Kings to be in than that move specifically.
I'm going to give you Alvin Gentry's head coaching record. 510
probably not very good.
Wins, 595 losses.
Yeah. Around 500, and I don't think a lot of playoff success either,
and I think he's taken over maybe twice after a head coach got fired.
He's coached a lot of different teams and for a long time, so
yeah. It's really coming to a point, guys, in the season here where Monty needs to make a decision. He needs to figure out if we are going to try and compete this year, if we need to just blow it up, whether we need to go for a good draft pick. And I think that that's going to be really important in whether Walton stays or not, because you don't want to hire a new guy and then lose a bunch of games on purpose.
Yes.
But that could be why Alvin Gentry has such a bad record too. Taking over midway through season.
It's hard to win
head
in the
coaches. NBA. It really is. Man, you guys are getting ridiculous here in the chat. Bring back Papa Giannis. I don't know what he's gonna do. Tim Donahue cursed us. I agree with that. Mike D'Antoni would bring in shooters and has a system. Yes, he does. I think, honestly, if D'Antoni was here, and I think D'Antoni has a great relationship with with Monty McNair from their whole time together in Houston. Monty seems to love the run and gun 3-ball style of play. Mm-hmm. So does Mike D'Antoni. He's assistant right now with the Nets. Mike D'Antoni, if he was the head coach of this team, even if we're losing games, at least we would know what the system was. We would know what they're trying to do. It would be clear. What is Luke Walton's system right now? What is he trying to do? They score 140 points one game. They score 89 another game.
Yeah.
I don't see much consistency in the play style.
Yeah. Yeah. My only thing with Mike D'Antoni is, you're right. You would know the system, and it would probably be heavily predicated around shooting threes. This team isn't a consistent enough three-point shooting team right now as they're currently constructed for that to work for me.
Yeah.
You know, you have Buddy Hield who can get hot really quick, and he can go on pretty long streaks. Harrison Barnes is a much improved three-point shooter. Tyrese isn't bad. Mm-hmm. The rest of them are not very consistent at all, and even those guys are not totally that consistent. Tyrese has only gotten 1 year. Yeah, he had a good year, first year, but he hasn't sustained that. And we've seen Harrison Barnes take a lot fewer threes lately. So I don't know. I like Mike D'Antoni. I like the idea of what the offense could be, playing really fast, and that 7 seconds or less-ish type pace, whatever. But you're right. They would have to bring in some more shooters, I think, before that system worked as effectively as it could.
Yeah, and if you have De'Aaron Fox running the show, he hasn't
He's not
shown.
a guy I want shooting 8 threes.
He hasn't shown that he can make the three consistently. I mean, he's still young. We've seen a lot of guys develop three-point shots later in their careers. LeBron James is one of them.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not going to compare anybody to LeBron James because it's LeBron James.
But you're right.
But guys have gotten much better. But, if I were to think about a point guard who didn't really shoot well but was great at getting to the basket, I think about an early Rajon Rondo. When he played on that Boston Celtics team, the game's a little bit easier when you're playing with 3 Hall of Famers on your team. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But Rondo would slash to the basket, and he'd end up kicking it out every time. Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, or he'd end up getting a layup. This is without a stretch 5. Mm-hmm. They had Kendrick Perkins. They had a couple other big guys in there. I think the only stretch guy they end up having in that run was Rasheed Wallace, and that was later on.
Yeah.
They had Shaq on that team for a minute. Yep. Jermaine O'Neal was on that team for a minute. So and I think Leon Poe was killing it for them for a little bit after the Cleveland stint or maybe before.
Big Baby.
Yeah, Big Baby. But to see the success that he had on that squad, just dishing the ball and getting to the basket, I think De'Aaron Fox could do that much better than he could because De'Aaron Fox has the athleticism and the speed that Rajon Rondo didn't. Don't get me wrong, Rajon Rondo, I love me some Rondo. Very quick guy, very smart guy.
Yeah.
Better passer than De'Aaron Fox. But I think it's possible for Fox to have success in a system where guys are shooting threes and they don't necessarily need a stretch 5 for him to have success, but it could help. It could definitely help.
Yeah, I think they're going in a little bit different direction. Derrick Rose is another good person to look at when you're comparing De'Aaron Fox. Definitely not known for his outside shooting when he came into the league. He was an attack the rim / get to the basket type guy with a lot of athleticism, speed, and explosiveness. And then, of course, the injuries, and he eventually developed into a very reliable outside shooter. So there's still optimism for Fox that he can, get better at shooting from the outside, I think.
You know who's a great three-point shooter that's not on a team right now?
Who's that?
Nick Stauskas.
Yeah. Really good college player. Go Blue.
I see Fox for Simmons straight up, and a couple people agreeing with that. Doesn't help your three-point shooting.
Not for me right now.
I would like to pair De'Aaron Fox with Ben Simmons. Honestly, I would.
Steve Novak. Wow.
I loved watching him in New York. We never should have let Jaeger go in the first place. Yep, that's true. Wow, the chat's moving pretty fast right now. Luke would just end up back at Golden State. Yeah, good for them. Good for them. You know how many people have been texting me about Steph Curry this week? It's been crazy. I know he's a great player. He's
unbelievable.
He's playing well. He should win MVP. He's amazing. We had Seth Curry, and now he's killing it with the Sixers. We've had a lot of guys. We got a new poll going in the chat. Let us know if you still want to trade for Ben Simmons. And let us know in the chat what you're willing to give up. I don't think De'Aaron Fox for Ben Simmons is a good trade at this point. But I would still be open to trading for him. Just let me know who else on this team you'd like to trade. Oh, man, Calvin. Any other thoughts on what this team needs to get better?
Oh, well, they need a lot. They need a lot. Maybe let's narrow it down. You want to talk about Philadelphia? Because we got to compartmentalize, right? As athletes, we got to take it day by day and game by game. We're on On to Philadelphia.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's look at Monday's game against the Sixers. This is in Sacramento. No Ben Simmons. You guys already knew about that, but Tyrese Maxey's been playing really, really well.
Oh, yes, he has.
Seth Curry's been playing well. Joel Embiid has been playing well. I want to hear, Cal, your keys to the game to win this Sixers game.
Yep. So the Sixers are they started out off really, really hot. They had the best record in the Eastern Conference for a little bit, and then they got hit hard by COVID. They had 4 players out due to COVID protocol. Embiid still hasn't returned, but they didn't have Tobias Harris, Isaiah Joe, and I forget who the 4th guy was. An important player, I'm forgetting. But anyway, so they've gone through a bit of a rough patch. They've lost 6 of their last 10 games. But they got a lot of those guys back now. Tobias Harris just had 28 tonight as well in a loss to Portland. This team, surprisingly, with having Andre Drummond and Joel Embiid, they're ranked 29th in rebounding. I don't really understand how that's possible, but the Kings have an opportunity here to crash the glass. And, rebounding is, again, a key for me. They can't get out-rebounded like they did tonight. The Sixers are an extremely efficient team. They're number 2 in the league in three-point percentage. They're number 3 in field goal percentage and 3 in free throw percentage. So they got to keep them off the free throw line, and they have to, again, defend the 3 well. But this is a team that can play inside and out. And then lastly, the Sixers are 29th in the league at defending the 3. So this is an opportunity for the Kings. I would say the key is attack the rim early and often, because that's going to free up the three-point line a little bit for them. We talked about taking better, efficient shots from 3. They have a chance here to get some good looks, and hopefully, unlike tonight, they can knock them in against a team that's not as good at defending the 3.
Oh, man, looking at this schedule is so stressful, man. It really is. I want the Kings to win this game so bad, but, I'm getting to this point, guys, where it's like, is a win really worth it? Like, is it? Because if they win a couple of these games, it's going to be like, well, maybe they can do it. Maybe we don't need to make a trade. But if they keep losing games, and I don't want them to lose games, so don't take this the wrong way. I'm not a tank guy. I don't advocate for tanking. But if they keep losing these games, changes happen faster.
Yes, that's true.
And I'm just tired of them losing. So, yeah, you said they need to rebound well. They need to shoot well from the 3. What was your third key to the game?
I would say the keys are crash the glass, defend the 3, and attack the rim early and often.
All right, defend the 3.
Because points in the paint, like I've said before, it's a huge thing for this team. We saw them early on. I think they had 36. When they had 36 points in this game, 26 of them were in the paint. And that was when they were still in this game. They were only down 2 at that point, right before Utah goes on that big run. They finished with 60 points in the paint tonight.
Yep.
That's a key number for them.
Yeah, and we're going to check back into those keys on the next podcast after the Sixers game. So we'll see if the Kings are able to execute. I see here in the chat, what about Fox and Buddy for Simmons and Seth Curry?
Nope.
I don't really see why the Sixers would do this trade. Like, you're switching Curry for Buddy. They're pretty similar. I don't know, unless the ultimate goal is to get De'Aaron Fox, which I don't think it is. I think that the Sixers' ultimate goal is to get James Harden or Damian Lillard.
Or Kyrie.
Maybe they're not going to get one of those guys. But Swish says, I guarantee you Ben Simmons has been working on his shooting like crazy this whole time he isn't playing.
That's all we've heard from him since he got into the league.
How are you going to guarantee that? How are you going to guarantee that? We need to go get Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, really, really talented player. It would definitely help the wing depth. I'd be interested to see what that deal involves. Are you having to swap Harrison Barnes for him to where you're basically a really solid wing for another?
Mm-hmm.
And then if it doesn't involve Harrison Barnes, are you playing those two together?
Yeah.
Is one of them coming off the bench? That would be an interesting combination, because I don't like Harrison Barnes can play the 4. I don't like him to play the 4.
Yep.
I definitely don't trust Brandon Ingram to play the 4.
Yeah, he's too skinny for sure. Harrison Barnes is pretty strong, man. He really is. Come on, Makami. Fox for Porzingis? No, thank you, dude. That's crazy, man. It's crazy. One thing that Fox has done is he stayed relatively healthy. Porzingis is not. Fox has a higher ceiling than Porzingis. And I like the zinger, man. I really do, but I'm not trading De'Aaron Fox for him. Not going to happen.
50-50 right now.
Zion. Yeah, I see that. We just ended the poll there. 50-50, but if you look at only the chat, it looks like people want Ben Simmons.
Yeah. What does everybody think about JJ Redick? Why not just a quick hit him on his podcast? Hey man, you thinking about playing again? You want to suit up? I think JJ Redick would be a nice sign.
What about bringing back Boogie?
Nah, I've said no to this before.
Just for fun, just for the rest of the season.
Well, okay, so then you're saying let's tank, basically. Anytime you're talking about bringing back a player just for fun, you're tanking.
One thing I do have to say that I was really, really proud of watching this game was...
I know he's retired. That's why I said hit him on... I assume we're talking about JJ Redick here.
Oh, yeah. He's doing his podcast.
See if he wants to come back and play.
Yeah, the one thing that I was really proud of in this game has nothing to do with the Kings. It has to do with you guys, Kings fans. I saw people in the fans cheering. I saw them happy. I saw them really into this game and rooting for this team and wanting this team to win this game through the first 3 quarters, which is pretty amazing considering the losing streak and all the losing that's happened recently, combined with the loss yesterday and the booing that happened yesterday. I was really happy to see a lot of Kings fans that were really into this game and rooting for their team early on in this game. That made me feel pretty happy. How can you hide JJ Redick? What? Oh, he plays bad defense.
They're talking about his defense, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I really don't know what to do with this team. I mean, you want to bring in 3-point shooters, but we're already living and dying by the 3.
Yeah.
I want them to get to the bucket more.
I don't know how serious I was about JJ Redick.
I want some more size.
A joke than anything, but
oh, here we go. Would you like JJ Redick as a coach?
Yeah, maybe. I think he knows a lot about the game, and maybe he's a good guy to have for someone like Buddy Hield as a coach. It's an interesting idea. I don't know if he's into that, but
Jose says, what coach would be available? Jose, it's really tough to say at this point, considering the fact that most teams don't sign somebody outside of their organization halfway through the season. So if anybody's taken over for Walton at this point, it's probably going to be either Rico Hines, Doug Christie, or Alvin Gentry. In my mind, it's probably Alvin Gentry. And then they'll probably revisit the position at the end of the year where that pool could be much bigger or much smaller, depending on how long it takes for them to make their choice. One thing I would really, really like from them is just to interview a bunch of people this time and not have your mind made up before you went into the interviews. I feel like last time they already knew Walton was going to be the guy. And it's tough bringing in a coach when the GM is already on the hot seat. Now you have a GM who's here and had to take on somebody else's choice at coach, maybe because he really did believe in him. Maybe because, they already owed him a bunch of money and he was under contract. Who knows? But Monty needs to get his guy, and I don't think he's going to be successful until he has his pick at coach. Let us know who you guys would like in the chat. Becky Hammond. Yeah, Calvin and I talked about that before. Wow, Kenny Thomas. Looks like he's passionate.
That's coach.
He's definitely pissed about losing games.
Yeah.
I feel like him sometimes. I'm like, man, I don't even know what to say at this point. It's hard. I hope you guys realize that it's hard doing this after losses, especially bad losses, because honestly, like when the Kings lose, like I don't even watch ESPN afterwards. I don't even want to really I didn't used to even talk about it. I used to just be like frustrated and just move on. Now we're here talking to you guys, trying to make everybody feel better. So that's what we're here for. All right, Cal, any last thoughts before we wrap up today?
Man, tough loss again. Back to the drawing board. Here we go. Ended on a positive note. Shout out Michigan Wolverines football.
Yep.
Big win today, 59-18 against Maryland. We got Ohio State next week. A win puts us in the Big Ten championship game. I'm fired up. I don't know if the Kings have a game on Saturday, but if Michigan loses that one, I might be pretty drained after on the show. So just be aware of that.
No game on Saturday, Friday, and
All
Sunday.
Right, we're good then. We're good.
Want to thank you all for joining us for another Royal Rebounds live podcast post-game. We will catch you all Monday evening or Monday night after the Kings-Sixers game. I'm done making predictions, man. I'm not making predictions anymore. I just hope to see some good basketball, and let's hope for a win.
That's right.
We'll see you all next time, guys. Make sure you smash up the like, subscribe to the channel, and go Kings.